If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, $125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. $125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at vinsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch, indeed.
And a
Shout out to
child shall lead them.
Stephen Amwar.
Shout out to him.
And you can have a business for as little as $49.
Ridiculous.
Is that
Was
the
that
lyrics?
playing the whole time?
I hope not.
Oh boy, they'll probably demonetize our video just for posting their ad.
Would you rather die in space or the ocean? Obviously space. Obviously.
No. Drown me in the ocean. I don't want to be lost in space floating around into some darkness. Nuh-uh.
It wouldn't even be that long, bro.
Nope. What if you're in your thing and you're breathing for a while? And you know that thing that we
saw? You wouldn't want to explore and see what you're looking at?
Dying up there alone in like this great expanse, that's really terrifying to me. Remember we saw that thing where it was like they got sucked into the black hole and you could still see them, but they were like sucked away, but their image would be there for a long time.
Yeah.
That was really terrifying.
Black hole sun, won't you come and wash away the rain?
If you were with me,
you
then I'd do
the space. Didn't know I could sing, did you, huh?
I'd do space.
I should be in the band.
Otherwise, I'd be a scared.
Okay, guys. Speaking of being in the
Dust
band,
of the Bereaved by Tenside.
DJ Mike Franco. It looks like I'm touching that thing, but I'm really not. And that should tell you about something about your reality. If you think that your reality and what you see is exactly what it is, then I'm touching that exclamation point. I'm not. It's all an illusion, dear listener.
This picture as well is not here, really.
Correct. Okay. Now let's do it.
Okay. Dust of the Bereaved by Tenside.
Tenside, dear
listener. I've never heard of these people.
Dust of the Bereaved by DJ Mike. Let's go. I like the intro. Dragging metal, ladies and gentlemen!
Gravity
It was spinning around.
Definitely some Linkin Park energy there, for sure, for sure.
I enjoyed it.
What do you got?
I actually didn't pay attention to the lyrics till like the last 20 seconds. I was like, yo, I gotta focus on the lyrics too. But
Why?
Because I enjoyed the feel of the song. I like that energy and that voice, that type of voice. That was like maybe like a Linkin Park type of.
This is my favorite course tonight, especially the last part.
And actually, I'm lying. The reason I looked at the lyrics was because what little bit of lyrics I caught from listening sounded like a relationship song. So then I was like, yo, I should read the lyrics.
Ridiculous.
Survive until the last breath separates us. Alive, we stand together to rise above. See? That's when I was like,
Beyond remedy, I'm trapped in this society. I cannot breathe. Another tragedy. It could have worked so easily, but everything can change, like finding comfort in the grave.
Yikes.
Here comes a fix for the bleeding to keep your souls breathing. If you're capsized through the midst of years receding, born from nothing, crawl from zero to none, only evil reigns under the sun. And then the chorus says, survive until the last breath separates us. Alive, we stand together to rise above. Arise, those blessings we never received, ashes in the furnace, dust of the bereaved. Just really tight writing. Mm-hmm. In that chorus. And, you know, it's kind of like almost a good corollary to the previous song where the guy his complaint is that he's locked in prison, people are judging him, yada, yada, yada. And he's basically got a life sentence. But then this song is basically calling out to people because it says, if you look above, it says, here comes the fix for the bleeding. Mm-hmm. So they're self-consciously saying, take the lyrics of this song to help in your healing process. Mm-hmm. You have to survive, stay alive, and then arise, which is actually a really interesting progression if you think about it. Survive is don't kill yourself, right?
Yeah.
And then be alive is live. And there's a difference between surviving a situation and being alive. Being alive. And then you arise, which is to rise above that shit. You know what I'm saying? And so there's a progression there. And that's
good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good progression. It's a positive song.
Yeah.
It's a positive song because
go ahead.
No, go.
There's a song, I'm probably pronouncing her name wrong, but Sia, S-I-A, I believe is how it's spelled. And she's saying like, it's a Survivor type of song. And then she says, when she's singing the part, like I'm alive, and she's like really getting to that part, and there's like this interesting dancer and stuff. It's really cool, in my opinion. But when that happens, like, I loved that part of the song because I was like, that's true, you know, like being alive, like after, because sometimes like when you're in survival mode, like if you go from survival mode to I'm alive, like that's a huge step.
Agreed.
And I was thinking like, okay, that's the last step. Like you're at, like I'm alive, but it's true. Like you said,
arise. You gotta
rise
above.
Rise above it. Yeah. That's really good. I like that.
Which, you know, that's always been one of my, I think Romans 8 is probably the greatest chapter in all of literature. You know, where Paul says, who shall separate us from the love of Christ? No trouble or hardship or nakedness or famine or dangerous sword. And then he says, no, but in all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. So it's like being more than a conqueror, which I heard a preacher one time basically say that, what does it mean to be more than a conqueror? Is that the very thing that was meant to destroy you ends up being your biggest servant. Yep. You know, so like growing up in a family with a bunch of mental illness, or growing up in a family that, you know, not having a dad, all that shit. God has used that to make me an involved parent, make me empathetic to people with mental illness, which I'm happy, you know, and it's gotten to the point where I'm like, damn, I wouldn't have changed a thing, because then I would be, you know, people say that like, oh, you know, I wouldn't have changed a thing, but like I really wouldn't have. The people that I've been able to interact with and the things that I don't believe that I would be this kind of a driven individual if I would have grown up with my dad. I'm so driven by a few things. Being in the boy's life, the kids in general, but particularly the boys. Like, when we had Dorian, you know what I'm saying? Running multiple businesses and things of that nature, and just grinding the way that we grind. Like, I don't believe I'd be on my grind to this degree if I grew up with my dad. And so, like, I literally wouldn't change it, because the kind of life that we have now
depends on it.
I don't believe I'd be living this kind of lifestyle right now so, like, that's where you're more than a conqueror, where the shit that was meant to destroy you ends up serving you, and ends up enriching your life, and ends up not just your life, because life isn't just about you. Like, people have to understand that when we're talking about suffering. Like, life is not just about you. Sometimes you suffer on behalf of other people. Like, these people obviously have.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, they wouldn't be able to sing this song with all this passion if they didn't go through some shit. And a lot of times, like, when it comes to the problem of evil, whether you're Christian or not, whatever, people always go, why is this happening to me? I'm a good person, yada, yada, yada. Well, it may have happened to you because you're a good person. And what good people do with suffering is vastly different from what evil people do with suffering. Evil people internalize suffering and allow it to make them bitter, horrible people that then goes so they can justify being horrible to other people. When good people suffer, Jesus says a good man out of the good wellsprings of his heart brings forth fruit. Well, what's the point of fruit? It's to nourish other people. And so you can either be a bitter person that poisons people, or you can be a person that your suffering creates fruit that nourishes people.
Yep.
And these guys, at least in this particular song, the bullshit that they've gone through, they're self-consciously saying, we're going to help people with our music. And I think, so from that vantage point, it was good that they suffered, whatever they suffered. Well, it was good, because it's inspiring people and keeping people alive.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
I think that when you can come to that point too, when you could say, okay, my suffering is going to, like, there's some people where especially when they're in the bitterness of their soul, if you say to them, you're going to be able to help people with this, they're basically like, fuck everybody else. I don't care. I'm suffering. And I think that you can kind of hit that point, but as long as you can kind of come out of it and be like, all right, well, let there be some meaning to this, because if it's just pointless suffering, then why? And the questions are endless, and you can get drowning in this ocean of just pointlessness. It's just overwhelming. But if your suffering brings about the saving or the helping of somebody else, then now there's some meaning to it. It's some worth. Yeah,
it's worth it.
And the more that you love those moments and those conversations where you're able to help somebody through your suffering, the more those conversations will present themselves to you, and more joy can be had.
But the worst irony of people who don't convert their suffering into fruit is that they waste it.
Yep.
Like, there's no telos for why there's no telos for why you went through what you went through. When you take your suffering, and again, if you want to divorce God from it, I think it's foolish to do so. But let's say you did. You could still find utility even from an atheist or agnostic framework for saying, I'm going to turn my suffering to something good, and thereby I can apply some positive meaning to it.
Yep.
Instead of just saying, I'm a victim of the universe, or, blind, pitiless indifference. Or like Bertrand Russell said, that the only scaffold of which you can have to hang your hope is unyielding despair.
Oh, my God.
I mean, literally said that. Reading yourself, the poor man's worship, I think the free man's worship, I think is what he called it. And I think, like, that kind of suffering, that kind of an understanding of suffering, wastes suffering.
Oh, absolutely.
And it is in itself a unique kind of suffering. Unredeemable suffering is in itself a unique kind of suffering that's separate from the suffering initially in the first place. And so you gotta find some way to have some way of redeeming the suffering that you went through, so that you can find some sort of reasonableness for why what happened to you happened to you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm just going to pull up the lyrics here.
But like they did a really, really, really good job. And it's like survive until the last breath separates us, which is really, really good because it's basically saying, don't kill yourself, man. Just keep pushing. Mm-hmm. Which is something that, look, man, people been through some shit.
Yeah.
We talked earlier about, have there been people that have never experienced trauma? And I'm like, well, of course there's people that never experienced trauma, but a lot of us have, especially in our metal community. And very rarely do you hear bands challenging you to push through
That's true. I literally know somebody who didn't go through any tragedy.
What do you mean? Who? Yeah.
I mean, literally, I don't think there's been a single thing.
Yeah, it's just been pretty pedestrian.
Yeah.
Shout out to the homie.
Yeah, that's true.
But there's a lot of people who have, especially in our community. Mm-hmm. And so having to go through that, I would just encourage you guys, find a way to do good for people. Because one of the tricks, one of the dirty secrets that people never want to talk about with people who've been through some shit is it can turn you into a really selfish person.
Yep. That's true.
But I feel like I'm okay to say that because I've got I've got the battle scars to prove it. Mm-hmm. But you become a really insulated, self-focused person. You become extremely selfish, and you get an extreme sense of entitlement, and you justify your bitterness to everybody. Oh, this happened to me, that happened to me, I got an unfair shake, this happened to me, blah, 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 blah. Nobody loves me, yada, 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 yada. Everybody betrayed me, everybody turned their backs on me, everybody's judging me, yada, 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 yada. And you become a really selfish person, man. And so you gotta not fall into that trap. I remember a very specific time I was in the psych ward. They were talking all this shit about my parents, and they weren't shit talking. I mean, all the shit they said about my parents was true, and then some, because I didn't tell them everything. And they were just going on and on and on about how I was a superhero because I didn't do drugs and I didn't do this and my parents are horrible. And then God just stood like closer than Sori is now and said, "Do not listen to them." He said, "Don't listen to them. I'm going to deal with your mom. I'm going to deal with your dad. You got your own shit. Deal with your own shit, little bro." And that was a turning point for me. Man. That's when and I really started to get better. And I'm not saying that the meds didn't help or whatever. Like I'm very grateful to the hospital for the role they played, but they were about to unwittingly, because they were trying to be compassionate, they were about to tumble me down this black hole of self-pity.
Oh my gosh.
And I blessed the Most High because he showed up and he said, "Do not listen to them." And so I commend that to you, man. Like,
I don't know. You probably wouldn't still be here.
No, I would not. I would not still be here. Self-pity is a murderer. It'll kill you. Mm-hmm. It'll really, really kill you. So, however you do it, you got to find what they say. Turn your pain into champagne. Help some people get drunk, basically, is the moral of the story. But these guys did a really, really good job. They turned their pain into champagne. Yeah,
I really, really like this song. And like I said, I like the vocal style and the cadence of the song as well. So this one's a pretty high one for me. It's actually a 9.5.
Yeah, actually, this has been my favorite chorus of the night. So I'm going to give it a 9.27.
Dust of the Bereaved by Tenside, y'all.
Yes.
That's what it was.
As DJ AT says, "I am always grateful in place of despairing, but you got to recognize that a hill is nothing without the valley." That's because Alan is a dualist. That is a lot of wisdom there, dear listener, if you can accept it. Having said that, dear listener, we got one more song for you. It's coming.
Lamb to the Slaughter by Viscera.
Lamb to the Slaughter by Viscera. Having
coming
said
up
that,
next.
Vin out.
Sori out.